What do you think of the kids in this year's class? Right now it's Murray, and then a couple of questions right now. If Haskins is before Locke before Haskins, could Daniel Jones of Duke surprise some people by being the second quarterback off the board? Where do you sit?
Well, I think it sits alone right now with Kyler Murray. I mean, the visit to Arizona last week, I heard that there was even talk of started negotiating a contract, which they can do because they're the first pick in the NFL draft.
Right.
The question is by doing all this and letting people know about that, they really lose their leverage on what they're going to do with Josh Rosen, because they can't carry 2 first-round draft picks at quarterback. Just cap-wise, and what it would do inside the locker room, I think.
Well, I mean, plus you need to have the one thing. The reason why I don't think they can do it is there needs to be somebody who's been there, done that for Kyler Murray.
Right.
I mean, you can't just have 2 guys who are kind of figuring it out together at the same time. You got to have a veteran presence to be. Not that Murray can't figure it out himself, but you do need to have that somebody there who's done it 6, 7, 8, maybe even more years than that.
The talk when I was in San Diego was they were going to possibly bring in Warren Moon. He had been
for you.
Yes, he had been under Kevin Gilbride in Houston.
Right.
And would be there. Instead, they decided to go with just 2 quarterbacks on the roster, me and a young man named Craig Wheelahan, who hadn't really played or would play. And we were just kind of a room full of misfits of not knowing what was going to happen or when things went bad. So that's a huge factor. There's been rumblings around the idea of the Washington team maybe making a trade. I would think that if the Cardinals are trying to make something work there, maybe try to trade back for Case Keenum.
Yeah, we're here. I'm hearing that too. That's just that's a lot of player movement.
It's a lot of player movement to go from Denver to Arizona,
right,
or to Washington. And then the funny thing is they both have the same agent. Kyler Murray and Case Keenum have the same agent.
And Kingsbury.
Yeah. It's becoming incestuous a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's the way deals do get done.
It is.
Do you think that's a good fit for Rosen in Washington?
Well, I think it would be great if he ended up in New York. I don't know how it's going to play out. The leverage isn't there for them to leverage any other team to get a first-round draft pick, maybe not even a second. I know that the Giants have a solid third-round pick that probably could work. I hope they do something like that, because then they can use the 6th pick and the 17th for a defensive lineman and offensive lineman and really build something. And they would get the quarterback that they probably should have drafted a year ago. Not taking anything away from Saquon Barkley and what he did, but franchise quarterbacks move this league. If they could do that,
that'd be huge.
It would be an ultimate win for the New York Giants. I just don't know if it's going to be able to get done. Some team's going to panic the last minute, probably offer up a bigger draft pick to the Cardinals to get the quarterback because they need one. I know the Dolphins are in need down there. Washington, like you talked about. The big question mark I have is Dwayne Haskins. I don't see how what he's done, not only last year, but all the way through the draft process, that doesn't put him at the top of the draft. And what I hear is he just keeps sliding backward and backward and backward. There's something that we're not hearing. Otherwise, I don't know why this would be the case.
I don't understand it, because he's good people.
Yeah. He's
also a guy who threw 50 touchdowns in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, and he got better and better and better. He's physically, he fits the role one would think of a bigger guy who
he reminds me a lot of Jameis Winston size, and kind of, it's not necessarily he's not going to win any Muscle Magazine awards, but he's going to get out there and stand in the pocket and take hits and make throws down the football field, which he did. And he led teams back. If it wasn't for him last year, they wouldn't even have been in the conversation for the college football playoff. They would have lost the Penn State game.
Maryland.
They would have lost the Maryland game for sure. So those two right there alone tell you what Dwayne Haskins and how important he was to that team.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download the Rich Eisen Show app.